The starlings outside our kitchen window on the suet block remind me of those years in the early 60s when I was working on bird malaria in Kansas. The life lessons learned from that work are part of my new book, Life Lessons from a Parasite. So I thought what I'd do while this video is running is just read some from one of the chapters. The three scientists processed more than 100 batches of my mosquitoes, including thousands of individuals, but they would have had to come to Kansas and walk the marshes to truly appreciate the beauty of those vectors transmitting their viruses. The life lesson is obvious to a biologist. You're just one more batch of culture medium to a virus transmitted by mosquitoes. So if you get infected, the symptoms are a reminder that you're just a part of nature. Alternatively, of course, mosquitoes can end up teaching us that it's possible to love, or at least appreciate and understand, something that others hate and fear. My dissertation part of this work involves studying blood smears, hundreds of them, from those various bird species, rearing mosquitoes and feeding them on birds to see which species could transmit the parasites, and analyzing my data. The birds I used in the lab were starlings, nestlings taken from tree holes high up in the dead cottonwoods around the Cheyenne Bottom marshes and reared in our kitchen. Needless to say, I fell in love with starlings too. Those hand-reared nestlings were the only birds used but not killed as part of this project. They grew up and fledged in the same apartment as our daughter, age 2, who was also learning to fly in her own way. No longer useful as experimental animals, I let them go, watching them fly out between a couple of OU buildings. I had faith, probably misplaced, in their ability to adjust to the wilderness of Norman, Oklahoma. Our daughter also grew up and eventually flew away too, adjusting to a much larger and varied wilderness than the town in which she was born. Now, decades later, starlings on the suet block outside our kitchen window bring back those times, at least in my mind. I marvel at their beauty, take their pictures, but they are generally considered invasive pests and not protected by federal law. Lessons learned from wild animals are never forgotten, especially as when, like mosquitoes and starlings, those wild animals are not always welcome in your neighborhood. Those lessons are easily applied to other creatures, including members of the diverse human population that now occupy the town where I live, sending their children to classes that I taught, and who are referred to regularly in our city council meetings and political campaigns, but without the honor of being mentioned by Shakespeare as were starlings. Every time I read about local efforts to defeat proposed non-discrimination ordinance, I'm reminded of this love for mosquitoes and starlings, even though the political targets can be members of the LGBTQ community, immigrants, or ethnic minorities. Many years have passed since I collected mosquitoes and starlings at the Cheyenne Bottoms, learning to respect them for what they are and what they could teach me. So that's long enough to call it a life lesson.